screen real quick. Okay, so just give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, everyone. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to, come and listen to me talk for a little bit. Hopefully I'm able to provide some valuable information. The information I'm going to provide is not too lengthy, but I know, like you might have said, that this is unprecedented territory for a lot of us, kind of doing this virtual career thing. And I wanted to provide you as much updates as information as I can, being someone who has participated, planned, and been on the other side of working and doing a virtual career fair. Hopefully I can bring you as much insight as I can. Definitely will leave some time for questions. Depending, it doesn't look like there's that many people on, it's a good handful, but obviously if you have any questions, you can, whatever you feel comfortable with, you can write me a question in the chat box, or you can turn your video on so I can visually see you or not, just so that you can ask questions that way, okay? Well, just to tell you a little quick snippet about me, my name, like you said, is Naomi Lampkin. I'm the Talent Acquisitions Manager for Enterprise. I've been with the company in 2 weeks, so it'll be 11 years. I started off as a management trainee and worked my way up. And now I'm the Regional Talent Manager for the Fort Lauderdale region. So that's just a little bit about me. I've been doing talent acquisitions for about 3.5 years now. So I have a good handful of information and experience to provide you with. Excuse me. All right, well, let's get started. So the topics we're going to discuss today are, we're just going to do some overall preparation. A lot of these things you can use information from going to a general career fair, which will apply, and some of these things will be specific to a virtual career fair. I'm going to give you some virtual career fair tips. I'll talk to you a little bit about the differences between a virtual career fair and an in-person career fair. And then I'll just talk to you about, making the cut, making sure that you make this opportunity to talk with employers count. And I'll talk to you a little bit more in depth about that. And then I'll talk to you briefly about opportunities with Enterprise, give you my contact information, and, allow you some time to ask questions. Hopefully the majority of the time will be spent on questions. So even if I don't get to it, write your question in the chat box. I'll wait till the end to answer them all. And, or you can email me if whatever you feel comfortable with. But one of the good things about this virtual platform is that, it gives you a little bit of autonomy to ask as many questions as you want without being felt like the spotlight's being put on you. Let's jump into it. All right, so in regards to overall preparation, I think that it's so important to know yourself. I'm sure that the folks at Career Services have probably talked to you a little bit about this, or if you've taken a career development class. But it's so important for you to take a self-assessment. A lot of the times, the particular job that you put in for, or whatever major you're taking might not necessarily relate to maybe the jobs you're looking for. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the skills necessary to be able to put in for those jobs. I'll use myself as an example. I actually got my degree in microbiology from the University of Central Florida. And obviously now I got an initial job working in sales, customer service, and management. And now I work in human resources. However, I had gained a lot of skills from college and my jobs and the clubs and organizations I was involved in to help me still be able to land a position with a company outside of my major. So obviously you always want to be open-minded. I'm sure a lot of folks prefer to get a degree in their major, but with the current times and things like that, it's so important to remain flexible and open to any opportunity that might be presented to you. But with the self-assessment, this is something that you can either look up online. There's a lot of free self-assessments you can take for your career. Career Services might possibly have a self-assessment that you can take. It just kind of helps you understand what areas of opportunity you have and what things, and make you look at your long-term goals as well. Not just looking for a job or a career for today, but can this particular experience or this company take me with them for the long haul? Now, you don't have to have all the answers now. By no means, when I started with Enterprise, did I think I was going to be here for 11 years and possibly be thinking about retiring with them. But it doesn't hurt to kind of have an overview of what you're looking at, but always, again, remaining open. Hopefully some of you guys have heard of a SWOT analysis. It's basically just a square that you split into 4 quadrants, and you list your likes, your dislikes, your strengths, and your weaknesses. And essentially, if you have weaknesses, your weaknesses, you can write them down and try and work on things during these last couple of semesters or months that you're getting ready to graduate, to try and find a way to, get that experience to where that isn't seen as a weakness anymore. But it's okay for you to have weaknesses as long as you have a plan in place to overcome them, or you talk about how sometimes your weaknesses can be your strengths. So just talking a little bit about overall preparation for any career fair, but most specifically a virtual one. It's important to always do your homework, regardless of what the career fair is. The career fair is next week, and you shouldn't be the night before or the day of looking through to try and figure out, oh, who's coming, and do I need to schedule this, or do I need to do this? I recently just had a premium handshake training last week, and the one-on-ones and the group chats that Nimaya was just about, you can't schedule those things the day of while the career fair is going on. So it's important to make sure that you schedule those in advance, because you might go to a group session and say to yourself, like, oh, I'm really excited to talk to this employer, but oh, unfortunately you can't schedule a one-on-one because you can't do that the day of. So even if you're not sure, if you already put yourself in a group session, go ahead and just set up a one-on-one as well, just so that you have some time to ask some specific questions or just to network and get that FaceTime. But it's always important to have a point of attack. So again, you can go to Handshake right now and take a look at all the employers that are going to be there. You want for each session, and you want to make a list of which employers are going to, create that category however you want. You can create a top 5, a maybes list, and a prospect list. So for me, when I went to career fairs when I was in college, I had 3 specific lists. I had the people that I knew for sure I wanted to visit their tables. I had the people that, I'm not 100% sure if I want to work there, but it's in line with my degree, so let me just go to them. So that was a second list. And then I had a prospect list, like, some locations outside of my degree, just in case, again, due to COVID, that, things remain open. I actually went into the job force right after the stock market of 2007 crash. I went into the job force at around 2009. So, although I wanted to have a career in this, I knew that I had to have other options, just in case that didn't work out, which is actually what led me to enterprise. And now I have a very rewarding career there. So I didn't happen to get a job at one of my top 5 picks. And then I actually declined a job for my maybe pick, but the prospecting pick actually turned out really well. So it's so important to make sure that you have those back. I heard a ding dong sound. Does that mean?
Naomi, that just means students are coming in.
Oh, okay, no problem. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything. All right, perfect. So yeah, so it's so important to just create those categories for yourself and just really know who you want to talk to. And again, the great thing about that Handshake platform is that you can schedule time, now, whereas, with the virtual career fair, you have to stand in a long line and hopefully you talk to someone and then you might miss out on someone else depending on the length of the career fair. Well, now you have the gift of being able to schedule in advance, so you know for sure that you'll be able to talk with all your contacts. So if you want to talk to everyone at the career fair, you have that option. It's super important to do your research. Now, I know it's going to be hard for you to do your research for every single company there, but I would recommend doing your research for at least your top 5 picks, okay? So where can you research a company? So other than their career website, which is number 1, obviously when you go to, when you're thinking about joining a company, I would comb through everything you can on their career website. Every single testimonial, every video they have posted, every job posting, read through all the job postings, just consume as much information you can about each of the employers you're going to be looking to make an appointment with. And then on top of that, you can talk to your career center advisors as well. They obviously have that connection with employers, and they can give you advice on the background and things like that. And then you can network as well. So it's so important to make sure that you connect on, you're making the first step. So if you've joined this type of, presentation where it's being held by a recruiter, this is a great opportunity for you to ask questions and to, so that I can put a face to the name. So if I meet you at an event, then I can say, oh yeah, you're Strawberry Shortcake, who asked a question at my presentation. Nice to meet you. And then we already have that initial introduction. So networking, coming to presentations, is not just about your own personal learning, but it also gives you the opportunity to hopefully connect with a recruiter you're thinking about visiting, ask a question, send a message in the chat box to let them know that you're interested, or that you'll be talking to them at the career fair. A couple things that you can do before I move on to the next topic is other websites you can go to. You can go to Glassdoor, you can go to LinkedIn to connect and become a friend or a connection with the recruiter. A lot of companies have a personal YouTube page that you can subscribe to and look through all their videos. With all the technology that we have out there now, it's not just about the career page, that the company's career website, but you can go to all those other aspects as well. You want to do your research. So what types of things should you be looking for when you're actually, doing your research on this company and preparing yourself for the career fair? Well, you definitely want to learn about the company's industry, the characteristics and culture of the company. A lot of times it's so important to make sure that wherever you choose to work, that it's in alignment with what you personally believe in. If you are an advocate for, against war or something like that, you probably don't want to sign up with, a weapons manufacturer for the government. So again, that might be a very general example, but, you definitely want to make sure that although the company might be a great place to work and, you love the environment, you also want to make sure that it aligns with your personal goals. So it's so important to make sure you understand the culture of the company, the characteristics, and a lot of that, you won't be able to find out a lot of it online, but hopefully you'll be able to glean as much information as possible. You definitely want to understand the industry. I can't tell you how many times I have people come up to me and say they want to work for Enterprise and they don't even know we're a rental car company. They just heard about our management training program and they heard that it's great to, build a career, but they don't know what we do. So you definitely want to know the industry and understand what we do. It's absolutely important to understand what career opportunities are actually available. So you don't want to walk up to a company, for Enterprise, we primarily are hiring people for customer service, sales, and management opportunities. But, we have those people occasionally that come up to us and say, oh, I'm looking to become an accountant, or I want to work in HR. Well, that's not something we hire for externally. We have a promote from within culture. So people that started the management training program go into those roles. But, just coming up to a company and asking if we have an accounting, openings isn't necessarily the best way to, or any type of opening. Someone, I have people that come up and ask me, hey, I want to work in IT. How do I get into your IT department? Well, if you did your research, you would understand that, you can't just pop into our IT department. You have to take certain areas. So if it's really a company that you're interested in, understand what they're hiring for. And that way you can speak directly to that position and talk about what you researched. And that's really what's going to set you apart. The biggest thing you have to realize is that when you come to a career fair, we're going to be, there's, probably about 10 to 20 individual time slots, and we're going to probably have a couple people in our group chat meetings. You want to set yourself apart. Coming to a career fair isn't just something to do, just to learn about other companies, but more importantly, it's an opportunity for you to land a position. And you want to make sure you make an impact and that people really remember you after you're gone. So doing those two things when it comes to research, understanding the company culture, making sure it aligns with you and your goals, and knowing what jobs are available and speaking specifically towards that is going to be a huge thing for you. A little bit further into the preparation that's specific to a virtual career fair is that you want to learn about the virtual platform being used in advance. So if the university is going to be having any type of training sessions for students, you definitely want to make sure you are a part of that and that you join those sessions coming to presentations like this. But if there's any other sessions that are specifically geared towards the Handshake platform, you want to join those things and learn as much as you can. Again, you don't want to be that person that's trying to log in 5-10 minutes before the career fair starts and then you realize you don't know how to use the platform. And you realize you can't get into a group session, you can't get into a one-on-one session, you haven't done any of that research, and then that entire time that you set aside isn't really going to be usable for you because you can't speak to an employer. You also want to ensure your profile and platform is entirely completed. So with the Handshake platform, the only way that we know in advance who we're going to be talking to is based off of your profile. So when you schedule a time to sit one-on-one with us, it actually pops up and says, again, strawberry shortcake, Shortcake or Peter Pan has recently scheduled an appointment with you, I can click on your profile before we have a chat and read through everything you put on there. So go through your Handshake profile, make sure you have a professional photo, make sure you list updated information about your graduation date and your major. Upload a resume if you'd like, but also fill in information within your profile so that we can see it as at a glance, because again, we only have 10 minutes to chat. So I need to be able to look at your profile really quick and be able to see the high pointers. But I can clearly look at your resume and get more in-depth information about you later. But for that one-on-one chat, you want to have as much information filled in that I can see at a glance. And just make sure all that information is done. So I would say, if I'm going to give you any homework right after you get off of this, to go to your Handshake profile and go ahead and make sure that it's updated with all the necessary information. And then you want to try and log in the day of the fair at least 20 to 30 minutes before it starts to troubleshoot any technical issues. Don't do like I did and log in 5 minutes before, knowing that, I just came off of a call and everything worked fine, video, and then I jumped on this one and then it kind of messed everything up. So you don't want to have the problem that I just had where I had some technical issues. So give yourself 20 to 30 minutes so you can immediately jump in there and start making some connections. Have your resume reviewed and checked for formatting issues. So it's super, super important, because you're not going to be coming to an in-person career fair and handing your resume to someone. You have to make sure that however your resume is formatted, when you send it to a recruiter or when you upload it to a platform, that it looks the way that you want it to look. So for instance, you might do your resume in an old version of Word, but then when you send it to a recruiter, either that recruiter can't open it, or the formatting, just comes out really jumbled and messed up, or maybe the template you're using doesn't show up the right way. So you definitely want to make sure that you get your resume reviewed first and make sure it looks the way it needs to look. But most importantly, you want to make sure that however it's formatted in whatever system you have it, I would try to get my resume in a PDF form. I would try and get it in a Word form. I don't know what other platforms are out there you can use, but any platform you can use to try and format your resume so that you have options is great. So, create a JPEG photo of it, because the last thing you want is to be chatting with a recruiter and having a really great conversation with them, but they can't open your resume. So, or you upload it to Handshake or you upload it to whatever platform and it's not functioning properly. So check for formatting issues or corrections when it comes to your resume. Or, sometimes I had someone that put their picture in there and the picture just kind of ended up in the middle of the page for some reason because the way that it just uploaded wrong. I don't recommend putting a picture on your resume anyways, but, just make sure everything looks the way you want it to look and that, there's no hiccups there. Obviously, I don't need to go into too much detail about making sure that your resume is reviewed in advance. A couple tips in regards to the resume. It's now more important than ever to make sure that your resume is one page. So try your best to keep your resume down to one page. Keep the relevant information at the top. Your resume should have your name in bold letters at the top, your contact information. If you don't want to put your full address, that's okay, but at least have the city and state you live in. After graduation or while you're getting the job, a lot of times people put where they live currently, but when they graduate, they're going to be moving to Ohio. So make sure you put in where you are going to be going so that that information is in there. And then right underneath that, you should list your education information. And then you should list your experience within your work experience. And then after that, you can list, classes or awards or things like that at the bottom. But what a recruiter wants to see right at the top is making sure you meet the educational requirements and that you're graduating in enough time. And we also want to look at your experience. Another quick thing to go over in regards to experience is just make sure that your resume includes information regarding things that you've done and accomplished, not tasks that you were required to complete. We don't need you to list for us a job description in a resume. A resume is meant to showcase your ability and to showcase your accomplishments. So that's what needs to be listed in the task. We don't need to see, if you're a janitor, we don't need to see that you mopped floors and cleaned toilets. If you're janitor of the month, or if you are, I don't know, you clean the fastest toilets and won a contest. I don't know. Those are things that we want to know about. What have you accomplished in that role? What new programs have you worked with that gave you access to something? Who have you managed? What things did you learn? Things like that. So that's super important when it comes to your resume. Like I said, schedule one-on-one time with an employer in advance. You want to, you're not going to be able to do it during the career fair. And then keep in mind, Handshake specifically allows the students to have a Zoom for the employer to put an outside link for a video chat if they don't want to use the Handshake platform. So keep in mind, if you're having a one-on-one with a employer, they might not use the Handshake platform. They might use Zoom or Skype. So I would encourage you to go ahead and download those two types of apps and make sure you create a profile in there as well. Now, if they use the Handshake app, then your profile in Handshake will automatically carry over. Our company specifically uses Microsoft Teams. You don't have to download anything with that. You just click on the link that's provided. But chances are we'll probably end up using Zoom since most people are more familiar with that. But like I said, it's important to download the app, create a profile in Zoom. That way, when we connect, your name pops up and that we know, and it's a professional name. It shouldn't be your nickname, like a funny name. It needs to be your full first and last name when you're having that chat. Same way you would if you are putting your email address. I remember when I created my first resume, my email address was New Destiny Girl. So I think it's a good idea to, now my resume, my maiden name was Edmond, so no, it's edmond.naomi@gmail. So just make sure that you are updating your resume and you have, that you're updating your profiles and those things and making sure you have your professional name listed. Now, don't think that just because it's a virtual career fair that you don't still need an elevator pitch. Now, the good thing about your elevator pitch is that this is an opportunity for you to have that one-on-one time again. So you really get to kind of focus in and you're not going to be distracted by other people trying to talk to the recruiter or noise or things going on in the next booth. Now, when you have a one-on-one, especially if it's with one of your top 5 recruiters or companies that you want to work with, the very first thing you should be prepared to do when you answer the one-on-one video, when you jump on the one-on-one video chat, is to say, "Hi, Miss Recruiter, my name is Naomi Lampkin. My major is X, Y, and Z," and then be prepared to go into that. Try your best not to have the recruiter introduce that conversation. You want to be that first person to just kind of set that expectation for what you want this conversation to be and to have them learn a little bit about you. Again, this is going to be a way for you to set yourself apart, because what are people going to do when they jump on a one-on-one? They're going to wait for the recruiter to build that conversation and to kind of grow it from there. So it's super important to make sure that, in order to set yourself apart, that you go ahead and initiate that, your elevator pitch. Just jump right into it. I already went over that. So I don't believe, so Handshake doesn't have the chat room feature, I don't believe. And Emilio, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you will, I think a lot of the communication will be via scheduled videos. So if it were a chat, then you definitely could have your elevator pitch written down. And then that way you could just copy and paste it into each conversation you have with the recruiter. However, with Handshake, your elevator pitch will be through video. So like I said before, you want to make sure all your video apps are to date and usable. It should be about 15 to 20, I put minutes, but I meant to say seconds. Please do not make your elevator pitch 15 to 20 minutes. It should be a 15 to 20 second introduction with your elevator pitch. It should include your name, major, anticipated graduation date. So, hi, my name is Naomi. My major is psychology. I'm looking to graduate this December. And I'm looking to find a career position where I can grow with my leadership or whatever the case might be. And that's why I was interested in, your company. You want to say the company name and particularly your position with, the management training program, because I want to be a leader and I want to be in customer service and sales. And then you definitely want to list, you want to say your reason for attending the fair. And again, this is an opportunity for you to prove that you did your research so that they know that they're talking to someone who's serious about this opportunity. And you definitely want to share your skills, your knowledge, and your career goals. So like I said, it needs to be, hi, my name's Naomi. My major is psychology. I'm graduating this December. I'm here at the career fair looking for an opportunity outside after I graduate in a position that's in management and leadership. I did some research on your company and I heard about your management training program. I've worked in customer service and I've taken some classes in sales. And, I really feel that this career opportunity aligns with my future goals that I want to set for myself in being in a management position. And it could be as simple as that. So I'm super excited to talk about you, and then you can kind of round it out and end it like that. You definitely want to practice your elevator pitch. You know, I would love to say that some of us are born, you know, speakers, public speakers, but some of us are not. I definitely was nervous when I had to take my speech class in college, and I was really bad at it. But after practicing and practicing, I got better and better at it, and now it's just second nature to me. So it's super important that you practice, and you want to practice as many different ones. I put this cute little you know, caricature in here, but it's basically just saying you want to have different, you know, elevator pitches for different companies, and, you know, to talk about different things, because your elevator pitch is not going to be the same for every different company. So this little caricature says, you know, I've got an elevator pitch, an escalator pitch, and just to be safe, a stairway pitch, you know, so be prepared for any situation. So just a couple do's and don'ts about the virtual career fair. You definitely want to dress professionally. Again, this will be video chats. So you want to dress professionally. I encourage you to definitely focus a lot of your time and energy when you're dressing on this area and up, as you can see where you see from me. So making sure that your hair is looking the way you want it to, your face, you know, making sure you don't have anything that's going to be in those areas that are going to be too distracting. If you have a stain on your shirt, you definitely don't want it to be up here. You don't want to make sure that whatever you're wearing, and you understand what your video is seeing when you're wearing it. So some people might not put bottoms on, but keep in mind, if for some reason you have to stand up for any reason because a dog is, you know, doing something, or somebody's making noise in the background, you might have to stand up. We might see your bottoms. So I would encourage you, you know, maybe to wear some bottoms as well that are professional, just in case. And sometimes, you know, when you have that full suit on or that full outfit on, it just makes you have that full confidence, and it puts you in the right state of mind. Make sure you check your lighting and your internet connection. You definitely want to make sure you have a strong connection, or if you're in a place that has a strong connection. You know, Emilio and you would have to, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they might have some space at the university if they are open. So maybe you can schedule some time during the career fair to go into those rooms and, you know, have that particular time. But you definitely want to make sure you have good lighting. Make sure you're in a quiet location free of distractions. Don't take for granted that just because this is a virtual career fair that you can be a little laissez-faire. You want to treat these video conversations like an interview, because you never know what might happen. This is going to be their first impression of who you are. And, you know, if I see an application for someone and I remember, oh, this is the person that had like kids running around in the background, or was driving, you know, while I was talking to them, or that looked like they were walking to their next class, I'm not really sure if I want to communicate with this person. Make sure you have at least 2 to 3 questions already prepared to ask each employer. So again, after you give your elevator pitch, you know, give the recruiter some time to introduce themselves, and then have some questions already prepared so that you can take full advantage of that 10 minutes, because it will fly by like that. Choose the device you want to use very, very wisely. Now, I'm not going to tell you you have to use a laptop or you have to use a desktop computer with a camera, but I would highly, highly, highly encourage it. We're doing interviews virtually now within our company, and, you know, I can't tell you how many times, you know, someone is using their cell phone and it's super shaky. And, you know, if you are going to use your cell phone, make sure that it's on a stable area. Make sure you have a stand for it or something like that. But if all else fails, I really encourage you to use a laptop or a desktop computer, because that's already stationary and you already know it's connected to a strong, hopefully it's connected to the wall or something like that, and you have a strong internet connection. Try not to use public Wi-Fi if you can help it, just because of that stability with the internet connection. Have a notepad and pen handy for notes. You want to also make sure that you are taking notes on the employer contact information, because again, you're not going to be at a career fair where they're handing you business cards and literature. So you have to be prepared to write all that information down. And also keep in mind that they might ask you to do a really quick impromptu phone interview while they're having that chat. So maybe you impress that recruiter so much that they want to kind of get through that initial, maybe like for us, we do phone screens before we invite anyone for an interview. So maybe I might want to do a very quick phone screen with you while I'm doing that 10-minute chat to get that out of the way so I can schedule you for a face-to-face. So be ready for anything. But definitely make sure you take notes. And if we decide to schedule you for a virtual interview or interview during the phone screen, you definitely want to make sure that you write down the date and time for that as well. And always keep the conversation professional. It can be very easy, depending on where you're going to be during this virtual career fair, it could be very easy to, you know, kind of put yourself aside, you know, be too casual during the conversation. You know, you don't want to be sitting on your couch or anything like that. If you have a desk at your home or wherever you're going to be, try your best to be at that desk so that you stay in that professional mindset. You don't want to use profanity when you're talking to an employer, no matter how chill or laid back the conversation is going to be. And you definitely want to make sure your voice carries. A couple don'ts. Again, if you can help it, try not to use a mobile device. Again, for the reasons that I mentioned before, you know, it's shaky, and you know, you're not going to really be able to get the full aspect of the platform. I don't even know if Handshake will even work on a virtual mobile device. That's something that they could talk to you about, but you know, just make sure that if you can, that you're using something that has a strong, a good video connection and a strong internet connection. Like I said before, don't be driving, walking, or in a crowded location where activity is going on behind you. You don't want anything to distract from your message, so you want to be super clear on what's going on in front of you. Do not come unprepared. So I would venture to say, and this is my personal opinion, other people might disagree with me, but if something happens and you can't be at your 100% best during the career fair, don't even bother. You know, because you're going to do one of two things. You're either, it's going to show and you know, you're going to have that initial conversation with someone, and it's going to keep them from wanting to move you on to the next step because you had such a poor impression and you weren't really prepared. Or, you know, maybe you could wing it and you can come and everything will be great. But for the most part, if you are not fully prepared for a career fair, treat it like a job interview and just ask to reschedule or reach out to the employers after. Do not cancel your one-on-one at the last minute unless it's an absolute emergency. So it just does not look good. And think about your fellows, you know, folks, you know, there's not that many slots to begin with. And again, people are filling these slots, which means that other people are not able to book those slots. So if you do not feel confident that you'll be able to make a particular one-on-one, don't schedule that time. And if something does happen to where you can't make the one-on-one and it's a true legitimate emergency, then email that recruiter as soon as you possibly can to let them know they won't make it so that they can probably try and fill that time doing something else, or maybe trying to reach out to a candidate one-on-one, probably not through the virtual career fair. Do not dress unprofessionally. Again, if you are not prepared, it's best that you just don't come. If you don't think you're going to be in a quiet location, if you don't think you're going to be able to take notes, if you're going to be walking around, and if you won't be able to dress appropriately, it's best to just not do any damage and to try your best to apply after. Please, please do not ask, what are you hiring for? Now, there's ways to ask that question for it to be best, but again, I can't tell you how many times people walk up to my booth and I say, hi, how are you today? And they're like, yes, what are you hiring for? That immediately just kind of puts a bad taste in the mouth of the recruiter, and you could talk to any recruiter about that and they'll tell you the same thing. Yes, I know that there's folks that are just kind of browsing at career fairs and things like that, but for a virtual career fair, you are given the opportunity to schedule a one-on-one with a recruiter, and you're doing it in advance. So you already know you have a scheduled time set aside to chat with someone. So you should already know what you want that conversation to look like. It doesn't mean that you can't ask questions about the job or you can't be confused about the position or anything like that, but not knowing at all what it is we're hiring for and what you came to talk about is unacceptable. A couple of things I wanted to talk to you about the difference between a virtual career fair and an in-person career fair. So you'll obviously have to demonstrate very strong body language. So at an in-person career fair, you have the opportunity to, you know, you're standing, you know, people can feel your smile, they can feel your energy, you know, in person, but a lot of times that can fall flat during a video conversation. So you definitely want to make sure that you kind of overcompensate maybe with your hand movements or your gestures or your smile. You don't want to look weird or look robotic or anything. One thing I would recommend doing is, it's going to seem weird at first, but maybe take your phone on your camera out, or even on your laptop, and, you know, video yourself or watch yourself on video to see what you look like when you're talking and communicating, so that you have a good idea of what you do or what you don't want to do. Maybe you have a flyaway hair that you want to, you know, tame. So it gives you some time. So I would recommend doing that so that you kind of see what you look like before the event starts. The good thing, like I said, is that if an employer likes you, your one-on-one could possibly turn into an impromptu interview, like I said before. So for instance, for us, if I'm chatting with a candidate and I really like them, I might ask them a couple screening questions and set them up immediately with me for a virtual interview. So be prepared for that to happen. It's not, anything can happen during those chats. You'll have more time to focus on preparing for the fair. So the other great thing, the positive about not having to come to an in-person fair is that you don't have to worry about traveling to the career fair, parking, gaining entry, working it around classes, things like that. For the most part, it's going to be a little bit smoother and you can take those distractions out of your head. So you can 100% focus on being prepared for the career fair itself. So getting your information in order, knowing who you're going to talk to. So having those pre-scheduled times with the employers and knowing who you're going to communicate with, you can focus more time. And I can guarantee you that each and every employer is going to expect that you probably come even more prepared to a virtual career fair than you would for an in-person career fair, because you don't have to worry about those other outside factors. You'll have way more time to ask questions and have a more meaningful connection, because again, when I'm at a career fair, when I'm talking to someone and I see a line building, I still want to build a connection with that person, but I also want to make sure that, each person, I get to talk to and that they don't feel like the line's too long and they want to go to talk to someone else. So now you'll be able to build that meaningful connection and have a really strong 10-minute chat. And that's why you want to make that count. And the great thing about it is you'll also have the opportunity to apply for a job right then and there. So if you finish talking to an employer and you got all your questions answered and you feel super motivated and you know this is for you, all you have to do is, if you don't have another one-on-one scheduled, is go directly to that website and apply for it right then and there to get the ball rolling a lot faster. Because what happens sometimes, maybe you might have misplaced a flyer or misplaced a business card while you're at the career fair because you're juggling so many things in your hands, and then you go home and you forget who you talked to, you forget, what information you have. But at a virtual career fair, you're completely 100% focused on gaining the information from that person you talked to, and you can apply for that job right away. The next and the most important thing with coming to career fair is that you don't just come for giggles, you come to land a position. So it's so important to make sure that after you have those conversations that you take those next steps to turn that into a job opportunity or an actual career position that you land. So the first thing you want to do is, if you can, print any type of literature you have from the website, because again, you're not going to get anything in your hand. You don't have to print it, but I know for me, if anyone's like me, I'm more of a visual hands-on person, so I like to have things printed out in front of me so I can look over it and study it to prepare for my interview. But any type of literature you can gain, if a recruiter tells you to go to a particular website to look up more information about the company, you want to go to those websites and review that information so that you have everything you need. Keep all contact information. Again, you're not going to be able to gain their information by getting a business card, so you want to have notes kept so you can write down the name, the position, the email address, and the phone number of the person that you're talking to. So if you can't call them, you can email them and you can address them by their appropriate title. By all means, right after I would say after you have a meaningful conversation through the career fair, go ahead and apply for that position. And then right after that, connect with that recruiter on LinkedIn. Because a lot of job opportunities now, if you do not have a LinkedIn account that's fully, a lot of job opportunities are being found on either LinkedIn or on Handshake. So you want to have a very strong profile on both of those platforms. And be accessible. You know that you're applying for a position. You know that you're looking to gain a role and to gain a job. So you want to make sure that you know the phone number of the person calling you. And obviously, if you're going to be going out of town, or if you're going to be in a situation to where you won't be accessible by email or phone, you want to relay that information to the recruiter when you can connect with them and send them a note. Excuse me. So follow up. Speaking of notes, I think it's super important for you to write a thank you note, a letter, or an email. Now, this could be something as simple as, just sending them a quick email. I have had some people that I've interviewed, which has been super kind, send me a little thank you note that came through the mail, or write an official letter. But an email is just fine as long as you use the correct tense and you address it properly and there's no spelling errors or anything like that. It needs to be a formal email, nothing that looks sloppy. And again, you want to make sure that you mention in that letter, if you're going to be out of town, let them know your interest and that you enjoyed the conversation and that you applied for the job. If you're going to be out of contact, you need to communicate that to them, but definitely express your interest. Follow through on any employer request. So if an employer reaches out to you and you're very much interested, you definitely want to respond back to them. However, even if you're not interested, just to be professional, you want to respond as well, because you never know what is going to happen in the future. I can't tell you how many times I've reached out to someone and they didn't respond, and then whatever they were looking at fell through, and then they come back to me later. And I remember, you know, because we have notes and things that are recorded that keeps track of when someone emails us that might have applied for one of our jobs. And we know if someone responded to us or not. So you never know. So just always respond back and say, yes, you're interested. No, you're not interested, because it just shows your professionalism. Like I said, complete the application. And I don't think this will necessarily apply, but I think that some employers might have not on-campus interviews, but on-campus virtual interviews that they might schedule with the university. So sign up for that as well if you can. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about enterprise, but before I move into that, does anyone have any questions for me regarding the topic that I just talked about? You know, maybe you're feeling nervous about being in a career fair, and I'm going to unshare my screen for a second so that I can see, because I can't see a full, actually, there is something in the chat. All right, so I already see one question. Go ahead and write your messages in the chat right now, or if you feel comfortable, you can just raise your hand and I will call you out so that you can ask me a question. Let me just check my time real quick. All right, we still got plenty of time. So is everything the same for international students? So I would say for the most part, yes. The information that I provided to you is the same for international students. However, it's super important then that during your research, you find out whether or not that employer is looking to hire or has the capability to hire international students. You definitely don't want to schedule a one-on-one with an employer and have a great conversation and get super excited. And then you find out later on that unfortunately they won't be able to hire you due to that, especially everything that's kind of going on with the with the pandemic and everything like that. There's so much more restrictions. So you definitely want to make sure you're aware of all those details. So make sure you're really doing your research and setting up times to chat with employers that you know, are able to hire you if that interview goes well and won't be restricted based off of the international status. All right, I have someone else that asks, is this being recorded? Yes, I believe Emilio is recording it, and I'm assuming it's going to be someplace on the career website for the university. So he could probably give you more details after this to provide that to you, but yes, it is being recorded.
Well, we're going to have it on our YouTube channel, and anyone that attended today or registered today, you're going to get it via email.
Perfect. Anyone else? Well, you can continue to ask me questions if you think of anything, but really quickly, I'm just going to move on to the next slide and talk to you a little bit about Enterprise. So Enterprise will be at the virtual career fair with Nova. We are actually going to be at, I believe, 3 of them. We're going to be in the majors. That's for anyone who's looking for management. We'll be in the marketing one. We'll also be in the one for like psychology and history and things like that, because we also hire a lot of folks with those majors. Just so you understand a little bit about Enterprise, so we hire smart, educated, and motivated individuals and teach them to run a business. So a lot of times people ask me, like, why does Enterprise want someone who has a college degree to come and work for them? All you do is rent cars. Well, I would say to that person that, you know, you definitely need to do a little bit more research about the company, because that's not all we do. Yes, renting cars is what makes us money, but that's not our business. We are in the business of taking care of our customers and training and developing our employees. So the biggest part of our business is customer service, and we strive to obtain a completely satisfied customer, but we only do that by hiring college educated, customer service focused and business and entrepreneurial minded people to come and run our organizations. So that's why we look for college educated folks, because you're essentially training on how to run a location and to run your own business. We have a promote from within culture, which means that everyone starts as a management trainee and works their way up into promotion opportunities. As we grow, we open more branches and create new opportunities for each employees, but we already have tons of branches open already. So there's plenty of opportunity to grow and to be developed. Your career advancement is tied not only to our fleet growth and profitability and employee development, but it's most importantly the quality of customer service that you provide. So again, why is someone, we're the largest rent-a-car company in the world, even before COVID, and we're the most successful, but someone can come and rent a Toyota Corolla or Toyota Camry from any rent-a-car company. The reason they choose Enterprise is because they know they're going to be working with a college-educated, informed, customer service-focused employee that's going to give them an excellent experience. And that's why we're number one in our industry, because we hire the best of the best to help our customers. As employees advance, company growth drives their financial reward and continues to attract more top talent. So our opportunities are tied to promotion. So as we move people up, we have to continue to fill their roles, and we move people up pretty quickly. You can get promoted within our company within 6 months to a year. So, as someone gets promoted, we have to fill that position to make sure that we have the appropriate staffing in our locations, and we have that next generation of folks that are going to take on our businesses. Let me look in the chat real quick. Should we select the link for the session at the exact time it will start, or would it be better to do it a minute or two prior to the start time? I think it would be a good idea to try and get on there a little bit earlier. However, it just all depends on how you schedule your appointments. If you have them scheduled back to back, doing a 10-minute chat back to back might be a little bit challenging. But if you do have a little bit of time, I would try and jump on there at least 5 to 10 minutes beforehand to make sure that whatever video platform they use, because again, they might not all be using the Handshake platform. Some of them might be using Skype, some of them might be using Zoom, and it might be a challenge for you to, like, for instance, like I said, right before this presentation that I need to do, I had a Teams meeting and I thought my video was fine because I was using that platform. But when I came to Zoom, for some reason, the video wasn't connecting and my computer completely shut down. So you want to make sure that especially if they're using different platforms, that the video feature is working and the sound feature is working on all those platforms, and give yourself a little bit of time to mess around with it.
Naomi, can I add one quick thing to that, just
Yes,
while you're on that one? Just the FYI students, Naomi mentioned logging in a couple of minutes ahead of time, because for everything you will go to Handshake. You will log in a Handshake for your group sessions and individual. However, you won't know if they're going to drive you to another link until you log in. So you don't want to hop in at 10:30 and they're saying, okay, join our group session via Zoom, because the employer does have the opportunity to do that. So again, don't wait until that very last minute to look. Give yourself a couple of minutes to do that. In addition to, there will be, as Naomi mentioned, you cannot register the day up. That's going to be pertinent to know. So this week, set some time in your schedule and just be really intentional when setting your schedule. If you can't attend something, please cancel. We want to be cognizant and show a little respect to not only our employers, but our fellow Sharks as well, who may want a session or may want a one-on-one and they cannot attend it because it's booked, but you not attend. So again, if things come up, things do happen, please just take the time, go in and remove yourself from it.
Awesome. Thank you. Like I said, we still have a few minutes, so if you have any more questions, please ask. But right now I have my contact information. Like I mentioned, I will be at the career fair next week. I like to also keep track of any person that I've met, so if you are planning to meet with me, whether it be at a group session or one-on-one, if you don't mind, please just using the link that I have right here, I'm not sure, right here in the middle of the screen, and registering so that I know that you attended this. I think it always just kind of gives you a little bit, again, this is a networking opportunity. So if I see that you attended this session and then you also came to chat with me at the career fair, then I know that you're really interested, and that gives me a little bit of a side note to know, okay, this person is really serious about this opportunity. Then you also have my contact info and my LinkedIn info down here. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email. You can give me a call, but obviously the best way to get in contact with me is via email. I'm only in my office about 1 to 2 times a week. So if you call my office phone and I don't answer, it'll be a little bit before I get a hold of you, but I'm obviously always on my work phone. Always on my phone looking at emails. So please feel free to shoot me an email or reach me on LinkedIn. I'll be more than happy to communicate with you at that time. Any other questions? We have 2 to 3 minutes. All right, well, I'll leave this screen up. I didn't know if Nehemiah or Emilio want to do any type of closing remarks.
You hit so many great points. I know Naeem and I in complete agreement that you've kind of echoed a lot of things that we say for the fair. So we're so appreciative of your time and your insights. And for students, I really think letting this hit home and really taking this advice and implementing it going into next week.
Awesome.
I'm going to provide the links. Emilio and I did tutorial videos just for any student that has not went in yet to register, just to show you how to register for the fair, for the individual fairs, and how to, and ways to guide you through that. So I'm going to send that link now. If you go in the chat, 1 second to everyone.
While Nehemiah is looking for that, I see that Tracy raised her hand. Do you have a question?
Yes, Emilio was saying where to find the video recording, but it kind of cut off, so I didn't get to hear where the location was. So can you repeat that, please?
Yeah, I'm going to email it to everyone that registered today, and then go to our YouTube channel. So if you look up Center for Academic and Professional Success, we have a YouTube channel, and every session we have there, we post it there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry. There is one last thing. There's something that we're doing. I'm going to share my screen with you guys. 1 second.
Let me unshare. You might not be able to do it. There you go.
So for those of you, this is your first time attending or not, every year what we do is called prep steps when we usually have our events let me look in here. When we have the events face to face. This year, we're going to still do those prep steps, but it's going to be via Zoom. So again, what prep steps is any last minute questions, any last minute jitters, any prep that you want done prior to. It'll be taking place the entire time of the fair, starting 1 hour before. So for example, if you're in handshake, let me show you here. Share my
Your screen is not being shared. Oh, okay, there you go.
If you're in handshake and you go to events, if you type in prep, actually 1 second here. If you type in just prep steps, we have prep steps for every single fair. So for example, the prep steps for the pre-health, exercise science, psychology, and nonprofits fair for session 1. That prep steps, while the fair is from 10 to 1, that prep steps is going to start 1 hour before the event, 9 a.m., ending at 1 p.m. So what you do is that you'll go here, your RSVP, and then we also provide a Zoom link. And what this prep step does help you with, we have our CAPS advisors that are going to be able to help you, answer any questions, concerns that you have prior to joining the actual fair. So just a little tip at FY, we are doing prep steps this year virtually via Zoom, and the invite is located, and the Zoom invitation is located in the events page for each fair. That's all I have, I promise.